My breath fogs the window of this cramped rental as I watch the neighbors' Christmas lights blink in patterns that remind me of better times. 2 years have passed since the party that ended everything, but December still makes me sick. The smell of mulled wine, the sound of holiday music, the sight of mistletoe, they all drag me back to that night when I destroyed my husband's career with one drunken kiss and a selfish need to be the center of attention. The eviction notice on my counter says I have 30 days. Fitting that I'll be homeless by January, starting the new year exactly as I deserve, with nothing. Daniel used to handle our finances, made sure we saved, invested, planned for the future. Now I can barely make rent on this one bedroom in the worst part of Springfield. Turns out destroying your husband's reputation at his company Christmas party has lasting consequences. Who knew? I should have known. Should have seen what I had, a devoted husband, a comfortable life, respect in our community. But Claire Hutchinson needed more than comfort. She needed excitement, validation, proof that she could still turn heads at 35. And for 5 minutes under a plastic mistletoe, I got exactly what I wanted. Cost me everything, but hey, at least Daniel's boss noticed me. Let me paint you the picture of how I went from a suburban housewife to a cautionary tale whispered about at every corporate event in Missouri. Daniel worked at Brennan & Associates, a mid-sized accounting firm where he'd climbed from junior associate to senior manager over 12 years. Not the most exciting career, but it paid for our house in Webster Groves, our 2 cars, our comfortable life. I worked part-time at a boutique, more for something to do than the money. We were that couple. Stable, settled, headed toward middle age with our 401ks and weekend dinner parties. The problem was, I was bored out of my mind. The holiday party's next Friday, Daniel mentioned over breakfast in early December. I know you hate these things, but it's important I go. Henderson likes to see the senior staff there. Richard Henderson, the founding partner who still ran the firm like his personal kingdom at 71. I'd met him at previous events, distinguished silver fox type who held court, while everyone laughed at his stories from the good old days. Do I have to go? I asked, already knowing the answer. You don't have to, but it would look good. You know how traditional Henderson is about family values and all that. Family values. The firm was big on those. Stable marriages, community involvement, the whole conservative package. It's why Daniel fits so well. Reliable, steady, drama-free. Everything I used to think I wanted until I realized I was suffocating in predictability. Fine, but I'm getting a new dress. Daniel smiled, relieved. Whatever you want, just try to enjoy yourself. These people are important to my career. I should have heard the plea in his voice. Should have recognized that he was asking for one night of support, one evening of playing the corporate wife. Instead, I heard an opportunity to feel alive again. I bought a red dress. Not Christmas red, scarlet, the kind that demanded attention. Low-cut, high-hemmed, completely inappropriate for a conservative accounting firm's holiday party. When I came downstairs that Friday night, Daniel's expression went from surprise to disapproval and landed somewhere near pleading. Isn't that a bit much? It's festive, I said, doing a spin that made the skirt flare. You said to enjoy myself. Claire, this is a work event, not a nightclub. Oh, relax, it's not like I'm naked. Besides, when's the last time you noticed what I wore? It was a cheap shot, but I was already in a mood. The truth was, Daniel noticed everything, complimented my outfits, brought me flowers every Friday, still held my hand in public after 8 years of marriage. But acknowledging that would mean admitting I was the problem, and my ego wasn't ready for that kind of honesty. You look beautiful, he said quietly, trying once more. You always do. I just want you to feel comfortable tonight. I feel very comfortable, I lied, tugging the hemline that was already riding up. Maybe you're the one who's uncomfortable. Afraid someone might actually look at your wife? Claire? Let's just go. We're already late. We weren't late. Daniel was pathologically punctual, but I needed to end the conversation before he made me feel guilty about the dress that had cost $400, money we'd earmarked for Christmas presents. The party was at the Ritz-Carlton downtown. Classy but safe, like everything about Brennan and Associates. A jazz quartet played holiday standards while partners and their spouses made small talk over champagne and canapes. I counted 15 identical black cocktail dresses before we even checked our coats. "See?" I hissed at Daniel. "I'm adding color to this funeral. Please, Claire. Just be nice. These are my colleagues." I grabbed a champagne flute from a passing waiter, then another. Daniel was immediately pulled into conversation with other senior managers, leaving me to drift through the crowd like a scarlet buoy in a sea of black. That's when I felt it. The room's gravity shift. Men trying not to stare, women whispering behind manicured hands. For the first time in months, I felt visible, powerful, alive. "Mrs. Hutchinson, isn't it?" Richard Henderson appeared at my elbow, his wife nowhere in sight. "My, don't you look festive?" "It's a party, isn't it?" I said on my third champagne. "Someone should look like they're having fun." He chuckled, his eyes sweeping from my face down to the hem of my dress in a way that wasn't quite appropriate but wasn't quite offensive either. "Indeed. Your husband's a lucky man. One of our best, you know. Very promising future." "Is he?" Sometimes I forget how promising he is when he's working until midnight. The price of success, I'm afraid. But I'm sure he makes it up to you. Was Henderson flirting? Was I? The champagne made everything fuzzy and thrilling. Here was the most powerful man in Daniel's professional world, and he was looking at me like I mattered. Like I wasn't just another corporate wife in sensible shoes. "Oh, he tries," I said, letting my voice drop to something more intimate. "But you know how it is. Work always comes first." "Not always," Henderson said, moving closer. "Sometimes we need to remember what we're working for." Daniel appeared then, face tight with concern. "Mr. Henderson, thanks for hosting. Great party." "Daniel, we were just talking about you. Your wife was telling me how hard you work." "Claire exaggerates," Daniel said, trying to steer me away. "Can I get you a refill, honey? Maybe some water?" "I'm fine," I said, pulling free. "Richard and I were having a lovely conversation." "Richard, not Mr. Henderson." The slip was deliberate, petty, designed to make Daniel squirm. It worked. I saw the flash of panic in his eyes before he smoothed it over with his professional smile. The night deteriorated from there. I kept drinking, kept finding myself in Henderson's orbit, kept touching his arm when he made jokes that weren't funny. Daniel tried to intervene, suggested we leave early, but I was having too much fun being the center of attention. "Is that mistletoe?" I said too loudly, pointing at the plastic sprig hanging in the doorway to the ballroom. "How traditional!" "It's just decoration," Daniel said quietly. "Come on, let's get some food in you." "Don't be such a spoilsport. It's bad luck not to use mistletoe properly." I was swaying slightly, 5 champagnes making everything seem like a fantastic idea. Someone should kiss me under it. For luck. "Claire." "I'll volunteer," Henderson said, appearing like he'd been waiting for this moment. Which, looking back, he probably had. The man had been circling me all night like a well-dressed shark. "Can't have bad luck at the company party." "That's very kind, Mr. Henderson." Daniel stepped forward, trying to intercede. "But I think—" "Oh, Daniel, don't be such a prude," I said, the champagne making me cruel. "It's just tradition. Right, Richard?" Richard again. I saw Daniel flinch at the familiarity, saw Henderson's eyes light up with possibility. "Indeed," Henderson said, already moving toward me. "Just a harmless holiday tradition." It should have been a peck. A brief, professional gesture to humor the boss's drunk wife moment. But I made it more. When Henderson leaned in, I grabbed his lapels, pressed against him, turned a moment into a scene. The kiss lasted 5 seconds, maybe 10. long enough for the jazz quartet to stop mid-song, long enough for every conversation in the room to die, long enough for Daniel's career to end. I ran my hands up Henderson's chest, made a small sound that carried in the sudden silence. When he tried to pull back, I held on, some terrible part of me wanting to see how far I could push this moment, how much destruction I could pack into a single gesture. When I pulled back, giggling like this was all hilarious, the silence was deafening. Henderson looked shocked for a fraction of a second before his expression turned calculating, his mind already spinning the narrative. The other partners stared. Their wives glared. And Daniel looked like I'd shot him in the chest. "Well," I said into the silence, "Merry Christmas, everyone." Daniel grabbed my arm, not hard, but firm. "We're leaving." "But the party's over." He dragged me out, past the staring faces, past the whispers that had already started, past any chance of redemption. In the car, I was still drunk enough to be indignant. "That was rude!" We didn't even say goodbye properly. "You kissed my boss." His voice was deadly calm. "In front of everyone I work with. In front of everyone who determines my future at that company. It was just mistletoe. God, you're so uptight. You grabbed him." "Claire, what were you thinking?" "I was thinking someone should pay attention to me for once." "I pay attention to you." "No, you pay bills. You work late. You treat me like furniture that happens to share your house." "That's not fair." "Fair? You want to talk about fair? When's the last time we did something spontaneous? When's the last time you looked at me like Henderson did tonight?" Henderson is 71 years old, and he still knows how to make a woman feel wanted. The rest of the drive was silent. At home, Daniel slept in the guest room. I passed out in our bed, still in my scarlet dress, lipstick smeared across pillows that would never be quite clean again. The next morning brought a hangover and horrible clarity. My phone had 12 missed calls, 20 texts. The story was already spreading through our social circle. Claire Hutchinson made out with Richard Henderson at the company Christmas party, in front of everyone, while her husband watched. "We need to talk," Daniel said, standing in the bedroom doorway with coffee and devastation. "I'm sorry," I said, meaning it now that the champagne had worn off. "I was drunk." "It didn't mean anything." "It meant everything. Do you understand what you've done?" "It was just a kiss?" "In my professional world, with my boss, after spending the night flirting with him while everyone watched." He set the coffee down, hands shaking. "I've worked there 12 years, Claire. 12 years building a reputation, earning respect. Gone in 5 seconds." "You're being dramatic." "It'll blow over." "I have 43 texts from colleagues. Would you like me to read them? Here's a good one from Patterson. 'Rough night, buddy. Henderson's already in the office doing damage control.' Or this one from Jessica. 'I can't believe what Claire did.' Are you okay?" So people are gossiping. They'll move on. This isn't gossip. This is my career. Henderson called an hour ago. My stomach dropped. What did he say? That perhaps it would be best if I took some time off. To deal with personal matters. He's putting the Johnson audit in Patterson's hands. The promotion I've been working toward for 3 years? Gone. "Daniel, I'm going to my brother's. I need to think. Figure out if I even have a job to go back to." He packed a bag while I sat there in my smeared makeup and wrinkled dress, finally understanding what I'd done. Not just kissed his boss. I'd humiliated him in front of every person who mattered to his career. Made him a joke, a cautionary tale. The guy whose drunk wife threw herself at the senior partner. Daniel resigned the following week. Didn't wait to be fired. Just submitted his letter and walked away from 12 years of building a career. The official reason was pursuing other opportunities. But everyone knew the truth. He couldn't face going back to that office, couldn't stand the pity and whispers and knowing looks. I tried to minimize it, still deep in denial. People will forget. It was just a party. Just a party? He laughed, hollow and bitter. Claire Patterson told me Henderson's been showing the security footage in partners' meetings as a warning about maintaining professional boundaries at company events. Security footage? My blood went cold. Oh yes, multiple angles of you throwing yourself at a 71-year-old man while I stood there like a fool. They're using my humiliation as a training video. Daniel, Do you know what Henderson said when I resigned? He patted me on the shoulder and said, Probably for the best, son. Hard to maintain authority when everyone's seen your wife. He didn't finish, but he didn't need to. We can sue them for harassment or... Sue them for what? Recording their own party? Showing footage of something that actually happened? Face it, Claire. You gave them the ammunition and they're using it. He was right. In trying to be the center of attention for one night, I'd made us the center of attention forever. A cautionary tale told in corporate circles about what not to do at company functions. I'll find another job, he said when he came home to pack more things. But not here. Not in St. Louis. Everyone knows everyone in this industry. The story's already made the rounds. We're moving? I don't know what we're doing. I know I can't work in this city anymore. Can't network at events where people are whispering about my wife and Henderson behind their hands. The marriage limped along for another month while Daniel job hunted, and I tried to make amends. But the damage was too complete. Every resume he sent out in Missouri went nowhere. Word travels fast in professional circles. He finally got an offer in Kansas City, but it was a lateral move at best, starting over at a smaller firm. Come with me, he said. We can start fresh. And what? Pretend this never happened? Try to rebuild. Away from here. What about my job? My friends? Your part-time retail job? Your friends who've been calling to get gossip about the party? He laughed bitterly. Claire, you torched our life here. What's left to stay for? He was right, but I was too stubborn to admit it. Too proud to follow him to Kansas City with my tail between my legs. So I stayed, and he left, and the divorce papers arrived 2 months later. The house had to be sold. Neither of us could afford it alone. My part-time boutique job didn't pay enough for much of anything. I moved to a 2-bedroom apartment in Kirkwood, then a 1-bedroom in Overland, then finally this place in Springfield when even that became too expensive. My friends disappeared one by one. Turns out being the woman who destroyed her husband's career at a holiday party isn't great for your social standing. The boutique let me go when customers started recognizing me, whispering about that Christmas party incident. Even my sister keeps her distance, afraid my poor judgment might be contagious. The first to go was Madison, my supposed best friend. We'd had wine nights every Thursday for 3 years. After the party, she canceled once, twice, then stopped responding altogether. When I ran into her at the grocery store, she pretended not to see me until I called her name. Oh, Claire! Hi. Her smile was plastic, her eyes already looking for escape routes. How are things? Things are difficult. Daniel and I are... Yes, I heard. So sorry about that. Listen, I have to run. Sophie has dance class. Sophie's dance class was on Wednesdays. I knew because I used to pick her up sometimes when Madison was stuck at work. But I let her flee with her transparent lie, understanding that associating with me was social suicide. The boutique manager, Cheryl, was less subtle. Claire, we need to talk, she said 3 weeks after the party. Some of our clients have expressed discomfort with your presence. Discomfort? Margaret Henderson shops here, Richard's wife. She was quite upset to learn we employed the woman who, well, you understand. You're firing me because I kissed someone at a party? I'm letting you go because your personal choices are affecting our business. 3 regular clients have already taken their business elsewhere. I can't afford to lose more over... She gestured vaguely at me like I was a contagious disease. "You had everything," she said during our last real conversation. "A good man, a nice house, a comfortable life, and you threw it away for what? 5 seconds of attention from a 70-year-old lech?" She wasn't wrong. Henderson, for his part, stayed married to his wife of 45 years and retired 6 months after the party. Probably not a coincidence. The firm restructured, and Patterson, steady, reliable Patterson, whose wife wears appropriate black dresses, got the senior partner position Daniel had been in line for. Daniel's doing well in Kansas City, remarried last spring to a paralegal from his new firm. I found out through LinkedIn, because that's what my life has become. Stalking my ex-husband's professional updates. They bought a house in Overland Park. She doesn't have a public Instagram, but I bet she knows how to behave at company parties. And here I am, 37 years old, working temp jobs when I can get them, about to be evicted from an apartment that smells like mildew and broken dreams. All because I needed attention, needed validation, needed to prove I could still turn heads in a red dress. The universe has a sense of humor, though. Last week I was working a catering gig, yes, it's come to that, for a corporate holiday party. Different company, same vibe. Wives in appropriate dresses, husbands in dark suits, careful conversation over careful drinks. And there, hanging in the doorway like a warning sign, was a sprig of plastic mistletoe. I spent my shift clearing plates and refilling champagne glasses for people who used to be my peers, watching wives support their husbands' careers instead of destroying them, seeing what I had and lost because I couldn't appreciate ordinary happiness. "Excuse me, miss?" A woman about my age, wearing a conservative green dress, held up her empty glass. "Could I get a refill?" "Of course," I said, recognizing the careful balance of friendly but distant that corporate wives master. "These parties are so dull, aren't they?" she confided as I poured. "Same every year." "Sometimes dull is good," I said, surprising myself with honesty. "Exciting parties can end careers." She laughed, thinking I was joking. "I suppose you're right." Better boring than newsworthy. I wanted to grab her shoulders, shake her, tell her to appreciate the dullness. That boring meant stable, meant safe, meant her husband would still have a job on Monday. But I just smiled and moved on to the next empty glass, invisible in my catering uniform. That's what I've learned in 2 years of paying for 5 minutes of stupidity. Invisibility isn't the curse I thought it was. Being seen, being the center of attention, being the woman in red who everyone remembers? That's the real danger. Because they remember for all the wrong reasons. Because your moment of visibility costs everyone around you. Because some spotlights burn everything they touch. The eviction notice flutters in the draft from my poorly sealed window. 30 days to find cheaper housing or become actually homeless. Rock Bottom has a basement, apparently. But at least I'm hitting it alone without dragging anyone else down with me. Daniel's safe in Kansas City with a woman who understands that supporting your husband means more than wearing a conservative dress. It means not making his professional life about your personal needs. I keep one photo from our old life tucked in my wallet between expired coupons and final notices. It's from the company party 3 years ago. The one before I destroyed everything. Daniel and I stand beneath entirely different mistletoe, his arm around me, my dress a respectable burgundy. We look happy, normal, like people who understood that some traditions exist for a reason, that some moments don't need to be memorable. But Claire Hutchinson always needed to be memorable, needed to be special, needed to prove she was more than just another corporate wife getting older in the suburbs. Mission accomplished. Everyone who was at that party 2 years ago remembers me. The cautionary tale told to new wives at orientation, the reason the firm now specifies professional attire on party invitations, the woman who traded a marriage for a moment, a career for a kiss, a life for 5 seconds of feeling wanted by someone who forgot my name by New Year's. This year, Brennan and Associates is having their holiday party at the same hotel. I know because I'm scheduled to work it. serving champagne to people who will pretend not to recognize me while whispering about that time Claire Hutchinson destroyed her husband's career with one drunken kiss. And I'll be there, invisible in my catering uniform, clearing their plates and refilling their glasses and watching other women not make my mistakes. Maybe I'll see Henderson and his wife, still married after all these years because she knows when to look the other way. Maybe I'll serve Patterson and hear about the promotion that should have been Daniel's. Maybe I'll stand under that same mistletoe, holding an empty tray instead of a champagne flute, finally understanding that some stages aren't meant for performance. Some moments are meant to pass quietly, without drama, without scarlet dresses or stolen kisses or the need to be anything more than what you are. A person lucky enough to have someone who loves you, flaws and all. I had that. I had Daniel, who noticed everything and loved me anyway, who built a career to give us a good life and asked only that I not burn it down for sport, who would have forgiven almost anything except being humiliated in front of everyone who mattered to his professional future. Just 5 minutes, that's all it took. 5 minutes of selfish stupidity to destroy 12 years of his work and 8 years of marriage. 5 minutes of feeling powerful to end up powerless, serving drinks to people living the life I threw away. The mistletoe hangs in every doorway now, following me through minimum wage jobs and eviction notices, and the growing understanding that some kisses cost more than others. That some women learn too late the price of needing to be the center of attention. I am one of those women, and this is my December, cold, cramped, and counting down to homelessness. Exactly what a woman who destroys her husband's career for a moment of drunken validation deserves. Merry Christmas, Claire Hutchinson. May all your holidays be as memorable as the one you made sure everyone would remember.